It may sound as a cliche that health is wealth, but looking at the indices surrounding a nation's prosperity, it is apt to emphasize that good health is relatively important towards harnessing a nation's greatest assets. And for a country like Nigeria, with diverse health challenges, improving the quality of health services becomes necessary. As part of efforts in actualizing the universal health coverage and in placing the health and social well-being of Nigerians, which was a key part of the present administration's renewed hope agenda, President Bola Tinubu last year launched the Health Sector Renewal Compact initiative between the federal government, 36 states, and development partners. Now, the goal is geared towards saving lives, reducing boredom posed by health challenges, improve population health outcomes, accountability, affordability, and accessibility of health services for all Nigerians. The unveiling of the Strategic Health Renewal Plan is a clear demonstration of federal government's efforts to revamp the health sector by bridging infrastructural gaps and improving healthcare services at affordable rates. So what are the prospects in attaining the objectives of the Health Sector Renewal Compact Investment Initiative? What are the priority areas and attention received so far since the formal launch of the investment initiative? On Weekend File tonight, we will be assessing the implementation of Health Sector Renewal Compact Initiative. And our guest is the Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aina. Welcome to Weekend File. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Ruth Aguela. First, we begin with the news. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, has expressed satisfaction about the progress of work on the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative. Well, the minister expressed the optimism that when he visited one of the plants designated for the initiative that's in Lagos. And joining us right away is the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun. He joins us via Zoom right now to speak more on the federal government's compressed natural gas initiative. Honourable Minister, thank you so much for joining us. We can't hear you, Honourable Minister. Can you unmute your audio?
Thank you for having me. Apologies.
Oh, great. Thank you for joining us. Now, you visited one of the plants where these semi-knocked down components are being coupled in Lagos, and you expressed your satisfaction regarding that. So what is the level of preparedness before we have the first phase of rollout of the CNG buses?
Well, I think, as we all know, given the elevated transportation costs, amongst other costs, as a result of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's necessary macroeconomic reforms, of course, the lifting of the fuel subsidy, and together with that, reforms in the exchange rate, which led to elevated prices, at least in the short term. And of course, transportation is a key element in mobility, particularly for urban workers, but generally throughout the economy. And the president launched his initiative on compressed natural gas actively and decisively with the issue of elevated transport costs, elevated fuel prices. And that initiative, in the first instance, entails 750 mass transit buses, 15-seaters or so. 750 of those are being made available. Another 100 electric vehicles, 8,000 CNG fuel tricycles, Keke Marwa, as we popularly call them, and also 30,000 conversion kits to convert existing cars and buses to CNG fueled, or I would say bi-fuel. That means that they can run on petrol if necessary, but they also run on compressed natural gas. And the key is that compressed natural gas, apart from being in line with climate adaptation, climate action commitments of Nigeria amongst other nations, it's also critically cheaper. A mass transit vehicle of, say, 15 seats would cost over 50,000
Okay.
naira to fuel with petrol these days. But
Okay.
but a CNG fueled bus costs 15,000. So look at the difference. It's a huge savings in fuel costs, which should be translated into lower fares.
Okay, Honorable Minister, just before we continue this conversation, we want to take a report regarding this issue, talking about the CNG rollout by the President. So let's see that report.
The minister visited one of the plants designated for the initiative in Lagos, where compressed natural gas CNG buses are being assembled. Mr. Wale Edo pointed out that though the PCNGI has taken time to be actualized, the benefits will soon be available to Nigerians. He lauded the company's employment of local talents in the assembly of the vehicles. The plant in Lagos is one of the 4 chosen by the PCNGI to assemble semi-knocked-down components of climate-friendly CNG and electric buses and tricycles, which will soon be rolled out to slash transportation costs. The company aims to transit from semi-knocked-down components to completely knocked-down components in the next 3 to 4 years.
Honorable Minister, we just saw you there when you monitored some of the ongoing coupling of the SKD components being done by one of the private companies that has been hired to do this. Now, the private sector plays an important role in this aspect, and the goal is to ensure a safer, friendly energy, transportation for Nigeria, and also cheaper, Honorable Minister. When we're talking about cheaper, affordability is key. Will the prices be subsidized when eventually the CNG, initiative is launched ahead of May 29, or as we, celebrate May 29 anniversary?
Well, as you've said, the key is that the price differential is actually a huge one. About 25% of the price of petrol is what we'll be paying for CNG fuel. Of course, we have massive gas reserves in the country. It is climate friendly, and the key is that those savings should be passed on. That will be the market price. Based on the market price of gas now, the fuel consumption is so superior, and that's what makes it cheaper. The fact that you can go for so many more kilometers on a liter of CNG than you can on the equivalent of petrol. So definitely, what we are looking to achieve, above all, is economy and lower fares for commuters. But at the same time, as you pointed out, this is a company in Nigeria that is assembling these buses, and in fact, they assemble electric vehicles as well. And their aim is to carry on adding value locally. So apart from any other benefit, this presidential compressed national gas initiative is providing jobs to Nigerians.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Thank you for your time. And we hope that this initiative will be sustained. And the target for 2027 of having about 1 million of these CNG vehicles on the road is achieved. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We turn our attention to other issues. Dumfries, one of the oldest satellite towns in Gombe State, has on board about 1100 network initiative and infrastructure provision program of Gombe state government aimed at providing 100 kilometers of road in each of the 11 local government areas of the state. Emmanuel Akila reports that Governor Muhammadu Unua Yahaya flagged off distribution of checks for compensation to people whose property may have been affected by the road project.
Coming from Bauchi State, Tumfre is about 4 kilometers to Gombe town, a thriving community but lacks tarred roads. Contract for the construction of roads in Tumfre was awarded in 2023, but creating the corridor for the project was a challenge, looking at the unplanned nature of the settlements. Now houses and other structures must be demolished to create a corridor for the roads, and that means compensation to property owners.
Everybody should be on board. Everybody must live within the presence of where the law locates. If you cross over and take any building outside the normal premise, Gombe State Urban Planning Development Authority is there to take care of it. GOGIS, Gombe Geographic Information System, is going to take care of it. They are the true custodians of government land. Every land belongs to government.
The 3 roads would be constructed at a cost of over 11 billion naira, while over 600 million naira would be paid as compensation for access to the 11-kilometer roads.
With the development of these roads, it will help in enhancing transportation.
Governor Muhammadu Unua Yahaya had inaugurated a 120 metric tons annual capacity private fertilizer blending plant, which the governor says is attracted into the state by the industrialization policy of the state government. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
The Tinubu administration has commenced the process to introduce the Nigerian Academy for Cultural Studies as a specialized institution to train individuals for innovative studies and the development of Nigeria's culture and history. The Specialized Academy, which is the nation's citadel of cultural training, has the approval of the National Board for Technical Education and Accreditation to run the program, leading to the award of National Diploma in Cultural Administration and Management, while its postgraduate diploma program is affiliated with the Nasarawa State University, KEFI. Already, the accreditation and affiliation have provided an opportunity for certification of individuals who have obtained the diploma to proceed for the postgraduate diploma program and eventually enroll for their master's degree. Executive Secretary, National Institute for Cultural Orientation, Biodun Ajiboye, notes that the development is pointed to the fact that Nigeria, under the present administration, has seen the need to embrace culture, and the Minister of Arts, Culture and the Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, has also approved that the institution shall be situated in 4 geographical locations in Nigeria. Nigeria is the first African country to join the Invictus Games, says Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, who honored wounded soldiers at an event hosted by the Chief of Defence Staff for the successes, which kicked off with a round of volleyball. Let's hear from Defence correspondent Naja'atu Tijani.
Prince Harry's team takes an early lead. Eventually, they lose 25-21 to Team CDS. A banquet for the Sussexes follows the match, which aims to raise awareness about mental health and well-being of wounded soldiers. Nigerian soldier peacemaker Azua Ibulam, who lost his leg in combat in the northeast, and who is also the first African to win gold at the Invictus Games in Germany last year, is also on Prince Harry's team. For the first time, key players at the banquet witness a computer-generated image of a rehabilitation center for wounded soldiers.
Seeing the plans for the new Invictus Center gives me goosebumps. It was and is a privilege to have Nigeria become the first African country to join Invictus, and it certainly won't be the last.
I want to reiterate the unbroken commitment of the Nigerian government to the welfare of our wounded and injured soldiers.
It gladdens our hearts to see how excited, how happy, how joyous our troops that were injured feel.
A former army captain who served as a helicopter gunner in Afghanistan, Prince Harry founded Invictus in 2014. Since then, the games have grown, promoting rehabilitation through sports. Naja'atu Tijani, NTA News.
The need for Nigerian youths to remain resolute, determined and innovative in achieving goals towards national development and self-actualization has again been re-echoed. Elizabeth Omoriyi reports that this was the position of youth advocates at the 2024 National Youth Symposium, where the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Abdulhamid Dambas, was honored with an Excellence Award.
The honor came as a pleasant surprise to the management of the NTA, as different speakers from the group commended the DG for transforming the NTA.
You have assisted youths in terms of academic affairs, in terms of scholarship, in terms of encouragement, in terms of mentorship.
We'll continue to promote and tell Nigerians what the NTA has been under your stewardship.
The DG, who appreciated the group for the recognition, hinted that there are several initiatives underway to lift the NTA to enviable heights.
I had the opportunity to receive a group, and I kept telling people that gone are the times when, we keep lamenting on problems. Lamentation alone will not bring an end to a problem, but we must have to work up to the challenge, see what we can do to change the narratives.
The DG was also honored with a Medal of Excellence. In another development, the management of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, promised collaboration with the Albino Foundation to give it the platform to project its activities. The assurance was given during a courtesy visit to the management of the NTA by a team of the foundation.
These people need some special attention because of the condition they find themselves. Nobody ever bargained for that. That situations warrant that they found themselves in the position they are. So, as human beings, we need to give them all the support that they require.
We should be able to come up with something that we can go out there and market with your marketing skill to either development partners or corporate organization in support of this as a way of your own social corporate responsibility, which you have been doing.
In another engagement, members of the Northeast Student Peace Initiative also visited the DG of the NTA and his team to congratulate him on his new position and appreciate his support towards professional reportage on insurgency in the Northeast.
While the federal government is trying to fight insurgency, we will continue to push until when peace is fully restored in all parts of the country.
We have seen a lot of reforms and a lot of improvement in the Nigerian Television Authority.
The DG is to be made the patron of the association soon. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omoriyi, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu extends warm congratulations to Pa Reuben Fasharotti, national leader of Afenifere, as he clocks 98. President Tinubu joins family, friends and associates to celebrate a paragon of integrity and fearless leader that always prioritizes national unity, peace and development. The president extols the sacrifices and painstaking contributions of the elder statesman to the development of Nigeria as a veteran teacher, seasoned administrator and exceptional politician. President Tinubu praised the God Almighty to grant the elder statesman more years in excellent health. Similarly, the Pan-Yoruba socio-cultural and socio-political organization Afenifere celebrates its leader, Pa Reuben Fasharotti, as he clocks 98. A statement by the organization's National Publicity Secretary, Jare Ajayi, the organization describes Pa Fasharotti as a man of impeccable integrity. The The record of his years in the public service is unblemished. His activities during and after retirement have always been geared towards the enhancement of the situation around him. Besides providing succor where needed, he is also a motivator. These attributes have not only endeared him to many, they also depict him as a person who inspires. The statement concluded by calling on the young ones to emulate the attributes and the lifestyle of the leader. All right, we'll take a break now, and when we come back, we'll be assessing the implementation of the Health Sector Renewal Compact Initiative. Stay tuned. Good to have you there. And before we begin our conversation on the implementation of Health Sector Renewal Compact Initiative, we'll bring you some reports. In a new dawn for the health sector, with a renewed vigor on assumption of office, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu promised to reposition the health sector to meet the needs of all citizens at all levels. Almost 1 year in office, how far so far? Health correspondent Salwal Khalil Ibrahim tells us more.
First, a team of experts appointed to man the health and social welfare sector. Their assignment is to address maternal and childbirth challenges as well as affordable and quality health services for all Nigerians.
Over the last 1 year, it's evident that they've put in their best to see that they move the health sector from where it was to a better place. There's now interrelationship between the agency, the authority, and health maintenance organizations, for example. So all hands are now on deck.
Policies were made and programs launched, one of which is the Health Sector Renewal Compact with 36 state government and development partners. And to walk the talk, 50 billion naira was committed into the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, all to improve healthcare outcomes. So far, over 550,000 women now attend their first antenatal care to improve their pregnancy outcomes and reduce child and maternal mortality. Despite the issues of brain drain in the sector, 2,497 doctors, midwives, nurses, and CHUs were recruited to fill the gap. Interestingly, some health workers who left are returning. Health sector is one of the focal areas of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, with the promise of a renewed healthcare delivery in the country. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
Well, with the introduction of the Health Sector Renewal Compact Initiative by the current administration, it brought hope to many Nigerians as it rekindled the long-anticipated aspirations of ensuring universal health coverage. Hingino John Adams tells us what Lagos State government is doing to actualize this noble initiative.
Ilera Eko, which means healthiness of Lagos in Yoruba, is the name given to Lagos State Social Health Insurance Scheme. The plan's objective aligns with that of the Health Sector Renewal Compact, which is to provide universal health care for all residents of the state. But achieving this has to come with certain policies and commitment from stakeholders.
Investing in infrastructure, health infrastructure, investing in other non-health sectors that can help promote the universal health coverage.
The planned redesigning of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund by the federal government is expected to enhance access to essential healthcare services as outlined in the National Health Act.
It allows organizations or countries or localities, communities or individuals to actually predetermine their health outlay.
With commitment geared towards actualizing the fundamentals of the Health Sector Renewal Compact by relevant stakeholders, Nigerians are hopeful that access to health care will become easier and cheaper. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Right, and to begin the conversation, we have a guest in the studio, the Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aino. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Aino.
Thank you, Ruth. It is a pleasure to be here.
All right, building a resilient and integrated healthcare system is part of the vision of President Bola Tinubu. And when we're talking reforming the health sector, affordability and accessibility of quality healthcare comes to mind. Now, how will this renewal compact initiative, bridge the gaps in the health sector?
Thank you, Ruth. So when President Bola Tinubu launched the Nigeria Health Sector Renewal Investment Program in December and signed a compact with all of the critical stakeholders, so the federal government, the state governments, and our large donor partners, the idea was to provide an agreement that serves as a framework for all of the stakeholders to do a number of things. One is to align on a number of national priorities that we're going to focus on, but also galvanize resources, government and non-governmental resources towards achieving those goals. And led by the Coordinating Minister for Health and Social Welfare, the Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative is being implemented using a sector-wide approach. What that again means is that all of the different pieces of the health sector, the demand side, which is, if you take the primary healthcare system, for example, the demand side is the National Health Insurance Authority working through the SHIAs, the state health insurance agencies, really providing financial protection for Nigerians as they seek basic services. On the supply side, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, which I lead, again working very closely through the state and the state primary healthcare development agencies, is really working to make sure that every Nigerian, wherever they are, can walk into a primary health center and access basic services that they need, be it diagnostic services, screening services, treatment services for malaria, for TB, for some of those basic conditions. A pregnant woman can get antenatal care, she can be delivered of her baby. So the things that we're doing really cut across many different, just talking about where we are with implementing the National Health Sector Renewal Investment Initiative. So on the supply side, if you take Primary Healthcare Development Agency, one of the things that we've done is to really improve the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. Actually, as a whole, the program is being reformed comprehensively because this is money that government really puts into the sector to make sure that the primary health system is working. So the federal government has increased the amount that is going into it. To your point, we have 50 billion. Actually, the budget for 2024 is even more than twice that, which shows the commitment of the government to make sure that the facilities have the infrastructure and the money that they need to operate. One of the tenets of our own work is really improving the functionality, but also the number of primary health centers. We did the analysis. We've now completed an assessment across the country of primary health centers to know where they are and what to do to improve them. And we found two major things that really are related. If you take maternal mortality, for example, the places where maternal mortality is highest, it's really two things among a few other things that drive them. One is just the lack of access to skilled birth attendants, so the human resources for healthcare workers. The other is physical access to the facility. So the farther away you are from a primary healthcare center, the less likely it is that you can receive the care that you need when you're having a baby, and the more likely you are to die. Okay. So that really is serving as the thrust for improving the functionality of the primary health centers, but also increasing the number that are supported by the basic healthcare provision funds, again, in a way that follows the need. So where there are the biggest gaps and where people are not having the access that they need, there are variations across the country. Some countries have quality, some zones and states have more quality issues where it's about investing in improving the quality of facilities. Some have gaps. We need to build facilities.
It's good, Dr. Aina, you're breaking it down for us, expanding the scope, to make Nigerians understand that it requires a holistic and innovative and coordinated approach if we must revamp the health sector. We'll pick up with the conversation when we come back from this break. Stay tuned. Glad you're there. And before we continue with the conversation, we have a report to bring to you. One of the tenets of universal health coverage is access to affordable health care that is close to the people they are meant to serve. In our next report, Chidebere Onya reports that maternal and child mortality remain high due to unevenly distributed human resources and insufficient health care delivery infrastructure in some riverine communities in the South region.
We still resort to the traditional way because there is no health facility around.
The role of primary health care in ensuring that citizens at community level have access to quality health care cannot be overemphasized. However, despite extensive investments by relevant authorities in Rivers State, primary health centers in some riverine communities still grapple with multiple issues ranging from inefficient supply chains, inadequate drugs, to poor health worker performance, manifested by high level of absenteeism and low level of competence and productivity.
Several services have also been included in primary health care to enhance the quality of services that we provide at that level. They are namely mental health, eye care services, and obstetric imaging for ultrasound of expectant mothers.
From Cross River State, Maureen Leo Ajom reports that out of 18 local government areas, 13 local government areas are riverine communities, some of which are far-flung areas, making it difficult for the people to access government social services.
If you go to a typical primary health care center that is within a riverine area that is not accessible, hard to reach, we have drones that are flying right to those communities and dropping commodities.
As reported by a former IHOJ, Bayelsa State government has continued to engage several strategies to revitalize the health sector so as to reach even the hard-to-reach riverine communities. From Akwa Ibom State, Umar Basidate reports that health facilities at the grassroots is a priority for the government.
Some places that also riverine also have security issues.
Health watchers reiterate that President Tinubu's pledge to drive good population health as a tool for attaining economic development is a strong signal that Nigeria is on the path to achieving universal health coverage. In Port Harcourt, Chidebere Onya, NTA News.
All right, let's continue the conversation. Dr. Aina, I'm sure you followed that report, an expose of what people go through, especially in non-reachable areas. But earlier you talked about the infrastructural gap measures being put in place and also ensuring that we have a wider universal health coverage, especially at the primary level. But if the renewal compact initiative must be strengthened, then every stakeholder must understand its role. How can stakeholders, work together, build a synergy to bridge these gaps? Because states too have a role to play. They are closer to the people.
Thank you very much, Ruth. What you saw there is quite heartbreaking, but sadly is the reality that many Nigerians have had to deal with. And that is why this government is working very hard to address, among many things, the two major issues that you heard called out there, which I had also mentioned earlier in this report. One of them is the shortage of human resources, but even those that we have are not evenly distributed. And the other is actually access to primary health facilities. Again, most of the things that are hurting Nigerians, that are killing Nigerians, is really at the basic healthcare level. And if we're able to get these services to people in the front lines, I think we will be able to address many of them. I did mention that we are using the health sector, we're using a sector-wide approach, to really bring all stakeholders together. The states they've signed up to the compact, they are stepping up. We are coordinating with them to say, okay, where do we have gaps in service delivery? Where do we have gaps in insurance coverage? We know that there's a lot of them right now, but how do you prioritize? Where are there the biggest gaps? And can we work together so that we can coordinate? If you're providing infrastructure, you're building facilities, if I'm able to give you health workers, you saw technologies being deployed to deliver commodities to the facilities. Our donors, we're even really working with the private sector through a number of platforms, because again, to bridge the gaps in the short term will take a lot of resources. And while government is doing a lot and will do more, our private sector partners and donors are also on board, and we're really just helping them anchor their resources to provide some of these services. Again, if
okay. Dr. Aina, what would you say is the next stage? Because from the launch in December, there was a time frame for 4 months, so to say, for the implementation of the Renewal Compact initiative. What next, going forward? Because Nigerians want to feel the impact. Health.
Thank you, Ruth. What we're doing now is really putting those investments out there in those facilities, because you are actually recruiting, you're training. Right now we're training 120,000 health workers who will be redistributed across our facilities working with the states. We're investing in building primary facilities. We're investing actually even beyond primary facilities in revamping the capability of our secondary and tertiary facilities. It takes a little bit of a lead time, but we're pushing very fast, and Nigerians can expect to start to feel the impact of this, in the near future. A month ago, 25 billion naira that people heard about widely in the news was released to go to the facility to give them access to buy some of the commodities that they need locally, but also pay for some of the services. Again, those funds are now going out to the accredited facilities. What we did was to do a reaccreditation to make sure it's only facilities, working with the states, of course, that are actually providing services that we get it, and we're bringing on new facilities as I speak with you. Thank you.
Oh, okay. And also availability of drugs, and healthcare services is also critical, Dr. Aina, not just at the primary level, but at all levels. It cuts across. How can Nigeria position itself, to attract investment for the health sector, to unbundle this initiative?
One of the pillars of the health sector blueprint being led by the Federal Ministry of Health is really to jumpstart the potential of the private sector, the healthcare value chain, meaning how do you bring the private sector to solve some of our problems in a domesticated way. So that, again, if you overlay that with the recent experience where basic medications have skyrocketed in pricing and causing a lot of pain for Nigerians, the minister and the entire health team have jumped on that to do a number of things. One, how do you work with, Mr. President to create that enabling environment to attract investment in local production of basic health commodities. But even those that are here already, how do you empower them? How do you give them access to finance? How do you give them, remove some of the barriers that is stopping them from going to scale? That's, one of the anchors. The other anchor actually is doing some market shaping activity where, pooled procurement, where the government through the Presidential Initiative on Value Chain is really looking at what are the commodities that Nigerians are buying the most of and that is causing the most financial pain, and doing some sort of pooled procurement. When you buy at scale, you are able to lower costs and making them available through, last mile distribution channels to all of these facilities and onward to Nigerians. The other thing that I should mention, by the way, is that it's one thing for the services and for the commodities to be available in the health facilities. Is another thing for Nigerians to be able to afford it. So a lot of reforms are also ongoing. First, to rejig the private health insurance space so that many people can actually get access to insurance formally and informally, but also for the poor Nigerians, the vulnerable group fund that the government has set up is really pushing, working again with the states through the state health insurance authorities. This has been anchored in our sister agency, the National Health Insurance Authority, really to give insurance to the poorest Nigerians, pregnant women, children under 5, but also poor Nigerians that are vulnerable, so that when they do access these facilities, they don't have to pay out of pocket.
All right, and if I understand the 2023 to 2027 vision is to see that lives are being saved and, of course, access to healthcare is sustained. Let's hope that those who need to do the needful do the needful. Thank you very much, Dr. Mui Aina. He's the Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take another break, please. Good to have you there. Sympathizers, including notable football stars, have continued to troop to the resident of the former Super Eagles player Tijani Babangida to sympathize with the family over the death of his son and younger brother who died due to injuries sustained in a motor accident along Kaduna-Zaria highway. Let's hear from Haruna Mohammed.
Sympathizers converged at the residence of the former Super Eagle player Tijani Babangida to sympathize with the family and the retired football star who had an accident on Thursday along Kaduna-Zaria highway that led to the death of his son and brother, while the wife is receiving medical attention at Ahmadu Bello Teaching Hospital, Shika. Family members and well-wishers who came to identify with their child moment pray for Allah to grant the deceased eternal rest.
It was a very shock and something that really touched us, because we really miss a brother. The wife to Tijani Babangida is in hospital now receiving treatment, and she's a very gentle person, very nice person, very humble and very respectful indeed.
Even though Ibrahim is gone, we have the belief it is his time, and we thank God for that. Ibrahim had a very good ending.
We really receive this death of Malam Ibrahim with heavy heart and grief, and the only thing we could do now is to keep on praying for him. May Allah give him Al-Jannah Firdaus.
Traumatized over his loss, everyone gathered around him as he leaves for Abuja for more medical examination. The late brother and son of Tijani Babangida have since been buried in Kaduna. Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
All right, let's find out how tomorrow's weather will look like.
Come to Sunday's weather forecast. Slight haziness with intervals of sunshine are expected to the northern fringes of Borno, Yobe and Jigawa states, while exiting overnight systems are expected to linger into the early hours to give very early morning thunderstorms to parts of Niger, Kebbi, Kwara, Kogi, the Federal Capital Territory, and parts of Benue states. There are still prospects of morning thunderstorms to parts of Adamawa, Taraba, and the coastal belts of the country, leaving other parts of the country mostly cloudy. By afternoon and evening hours, there are better chances of thunderstorms to the southeastern flank of the country, leaving the southwest mostly cloudy, with isolated thunderstorms expected